The Democratic double standard goes on months after Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene was stripped of her committee assignments. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she will not take any disciplinary action against Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who last week compared the Taliban and Hamas, both terrorist groups, to the United States and Israel. But House Republicans introduced a resolution this week to not only censure Omar, but to strip her of her committee assignments as well. Joining us this morning is New York Congresswoman Claudia Tenney, who was part of the team that introduced that bill on Monday. Congresswoman, good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I've got to be honest, the blowback from 12 Jewish Democrats in the House to condemn Omar's remarks was quick to come on Monday, but Nancy Pelosi says she's not going to do anything. So I'm wondering, if the Speaker of the House is not going to do anything to address this issue, where's the incentive to stop doing this kind of thing?
Well, there isn't any now, and Nancy Pelosi needs to stand up and do something, or we need to get those 12 Democrats to join with the Republicans to stand up against the squad, as my colleague Representative Waltz called them, the Hamas caucus, which is more appropriate. I mean, how offensive and just insulting to compare the U.S. military, and my son serves as a Marine officer right now, so it's even more real to me, to a terrorist group. You know, the United States is very careful. We actually have lost people serving in action to minimize civilian casualties, and to say that we are somehow engaged in the same type of behavior that the Taliban and Hamas are, where they actually put women and children as human shields in order to effect their terrorism. I mean, this is just as outrageous. It's dangerous. It incites more anti-Semitism that we're seeing on the rise in our communities.
Yeah.
And very difficult time for Israel, where I think that Israel, we were finally getting some kind of movement toward peace in the Middle East. And now it looks like we're drawing back because President Biden does not project strength. He projects weakness.
Yeah, and Israel had to once again launch airstrikes at the Gaza Strip on Tuesday in response to some of the more aggressive actions that they've taken there. But Congresswoman, the fact that we have to litigate the difference between the Taliban and Hamas and the United States and Israel, that's offensive in and of itself. The resolution argues that, quote, progressive lawmakers' rhetoric has resulted in increased violence and anti-Semitic hate crimes throughout the United States. Nancy Pelosi, look, she made an example of Marjorie Taylor Greene back in February. She protected Eric Swalwell in December. So why the double standard here? I thought she was the Speaker of the House, not the Speaker of the Democratic Party.
No, she's about power. This is all about power and maintaining power, keeping everyone on the Democratic House on their side. I just think this could be a moment where we could see some of the Democrats who are reasonable, including those 12 brave Democrats who stood up against this type of behavior and type of language coming from the squad, or the Hamas caucus, as we're calling them now. I'm thinking that may be our way to sort of break loose some of these people and make them realize that this far left radical part of the Democratic Party, which is really in a way like the tail wagging the dog in many cases. You know, Nancy just wants to keep power. But at some point, you have to govern for the American people, and you have to protect our allies, and you have to face the reality. I live in a district where it's a very small Jewish population, but I'm seeing a rise in anti-Semitism, which is incredible because this type of rhetoric is stoked. And by the way, this is different than just a First Amendment right, because I'm very strong on First Amendment issues. We do not want to in any way impinge on First Amendment. But these people are elected office holders talking about our greatest ally in the Middle East. They talk about democracy and preserving the democracy. Well, they should be supporting Israel and what they're up against in the Middle East and the work that was done by the prior administration. So I think it's time now to actually stand up to the squad. I see this as a golden opportunity for like-minded Democrats to join with us in standing against them. And maybe finally we can get something done in Washington where we're going to have people come to the middle and actually do something for the American people.
And I love what you said there about freedom of speech. Absolutely. OK, you know that we're all for that. But Ilhan Omar, she's been at this a while. Take a listen.
Was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties.
Some people did something on 9/11.
Yeah,
we can reduce it to that.
Americans were murdered at the hands of terrorists during 9/11, and she's minimizing that. I mean, there's so much surrounding her even tenure in Congress, all the allegations that she potentially could have married her brother to give him citizenship and why aren't all these things being investigated? You know, she's got this disinformation campaign. And where's the media calling for this? Why aren't they backing up Representative Waltz and Representative Banks? We're the ones actually standing up, and so are so many others. Where's the media? This is just more of this PR cover-up, much like you're seeing, with Joe Biden sitting there with his arms crossed, just going through the motions in the G7, facing, someone like Vladimir Putin, who is diabolical in every way. And just look, he's got to be looking at Biden saying, oh my gosh. And it's the same thing. Why aren't we standing up to people like Ilhan Omar and the Hamas squad? These people are dangerous to our country, and people are misunderstanding what's really going on in Israel, who's been suffering from this massive disinformation campaign coming from entities like Hamas, funded by the Iranian regime. And yet the Biden-Putin administration, sorry, I didn't mean to say that, but Biden seems to be wanting to just appease them. We're going to go back into the Iran nuclear deal. We're going to lift sanctions on the Iranian operatives. I mean, what is this?
We're going to rejoin
insane.
Paris. We're going to rejoin the Iran nuclear deal. I've never heard the Biden-Putin administration, but we'll see what happens. They are meeting right now. This meeting could take 5 hours today in Geneva, Switzerland. The table is set, and they are speaking right now at that chateau there. So we'll see what comes out of this. But Congressman, we appreciate what you're doing. Somebody has to act, and we appreciate what you and your fellow members are doing when it comes to Ilhan Omar and other members of the squad. So nice seeing you again, Congresswoman Claudia Tenney.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.